Flood responses / management in an LEDC. Universally, flooding causes a greater, more serious impact in an LEDC country compared to that of an MEDC country. Some of the reasons for this are because LEDCs don't have electricity in sparsely populated areas, they have poor infrastructure, a lack of education on previous floods, and they do not have the money to implement the same hard engineering strategies that are used in MEDCs, for example, a dam. Therefore, the strategies used by an LEDC country to decrease the impact of a flood will be somewhat more simplistic to those used in MEDC. Short-term responses. NGOs, non-government organisations like Oxfam and Christian Aid, provide aid through food, water and clothing to victims, usually because there is a shortage of these things and that they cannot afford to buy them themselves. Temporary shelters are set up by organisations like the Red Cross to accommodate those who have lost their shelter due to it consisting of flimsy materials, for example, mud houses. In Bangladesh in 2004, 5,500 shelters were opened to house approximately 1.7 million homeless people. Finally, it's to burn any bodies of animals or humans in order to reduce the risk of disease spreading. Then there are long-term responses, so there's things like afforestation, which we all know, educating local people on how to protect their homes and families from the effects of flooding. And there's also to protect buildings, houses and businesses most at risk to flooding through soft or hard engineering strategies. Flood management can be divided into hard engineering and soft engineering methods. Here are just a few. Early warning systems. Though few, there are warning systems that have been introduced in many flood-prone LEDCs, as they can be as simple as a single radio per village. However, they can provide locals with vital advice directly from the government, and that allows the people time to prepare for floods. Therefore, they can drastically reduce the impacts of them. Better off people often build their houses on stilts, consisting of primarily bamboo and other weaker materials, in comparison to the MEDC expensive metal stilts. This means that homes are raised above the ground, which in turn means that more flood water is going to be required in order to flood the houses. Raised land and embankments are built for the poorest of people with the same concept of the stilts, in that more water will now be needed to overcome the barrier and flood the homes and businesses that are often situated on top of the raised land. People in LEDCs have also started to build up the natural levees of a river. By making the levees bigger through the addition of mud or clay, it means that the banks of the river can now withstand more water from the sudden heavy rainfall, like what happened in Mozambique in 2000 and Bangladesh in 1998. Therefore, there is less of a chance of water bursting its banks and flooding the surrounding area. Sluice gates as well, or sluice gates, I don't really know, are the LEDC equivalent to dams. They are much cheaper to build, however they work in a similar way to dams in the sense that they control the amount of water passing through the river discharge by slightly opening or closing the gates. When there is an increase in the velocity, discharge and consequently the capacity of a river, the sluice gates can regulate how much water is allowed to flow, reducing the build-up of water downstream and a flood occurring. The end.